In this video, we'll look at 20 collocations with the verb to break. So grab a notebook and let's get started. Our first collocation is to break a bone or to break one's bone. And this means to fracture a bone in the body. My first example sentence says, I fell off my bike and broke my collarbone. Your collarbones are the ones right here, and it's common for cyclists if they flip over their bicycle to break one of these collarbones. My next sentence says, it's a miracle she didn't break any bones during the horrific car accident. Our next collocation, to break a code, means to decode or decipher, which means to figure out a secret message or system. We can also use the verb crack, so to break a code or to crack a code. My first example sentence says, the intelligence agency was able to break the enemy's code and intercept their messages. To intercept a message means to see, hear, or stop a message before it reaches its intended destination. My second sentence says, it took the detective weeks to break the criminal's complex code. Our collocation here, to break even, means to reach a point where the gains or losses of a business or investment are equal. We need to sell 500 units to break even on this project, and the company made a profit last quarter, but they still haven't broken even for the year. Our next collocation, to break one's fall, means to stop oneself or to stop someone from falling. I tripped on the stairs, but luckily I was able to break my fall with my arms. My next sentence says, the bushes next to the house broke my fall when I fell off the roof. This collocation, to break a habit, to break the habit, or to break one's habit, means to stop doing something that has become a routine or regular practice. She's trying to break the habit of biting her nails. And it's difficult to break the habit of constantly checking your phone. Our next collocation, to break the law, means to violate or disobey a legal regulation or rule. This sentence says, you could face serious consequences if you break the law. A serious consequence could be a large fine or having to spend time in jail. And my next sentence says, the company broke several environmental protection laws when it discharged wastewater into the river. Wastewater is water that has been used in a home, business, or factory, and when it is discharged, it is released into the environment. So this water may contain pollutants which may cause harm to the environment. Here we have to break loose, and this means to escape or become free from someone or something that is holding or restraining you. The dog broke loose from its leash and ran down the street. And my next sentence says, the rope suddenly broke loose and the boat drifted away. This collocation, to break the news, means to inform someone of something important or surprising. My first sentence says, how should we break the news to our parents about the car accident? And my next one says, the journalist was the first to break the news of the celebrity's engagement. An engagement is when two people agree to get married, but they haven't become married yet. Speaking of engagement, we have break off an engagement here, and this means to end a planned marriage before the wedding. She decided to break off her engagement after she realized she wasn't ready to get married. My next sentence says, he was devastated when his fiancée broke off their engagement. Our next collocation, to break a promise, means to fail to keep a commitment or agreement. My first sentence says, he promised to pay me back by Friday, but he broke his promise. My next one says, he promised never to go gambling again, but he broke his promise when he went to the casino last week. Our collocation here, to break a record, means to achieve a better result than the previous best performance in a particular category. In 2009, Usain Bolt broke the world record in the 100-meter sprint. And the film broke box office records in its opening weekend. When people talk about the box office, they are referring to how much money a movie makes when it is released in theaters. To break the rules means to violate or disobey the established regulations or standards. The teacher had to discipline the student for breaking the rules, and the company was fined for breaking environmental rules and regulations. Here's a collocation, to break the silence, and this means to start speaking after a period of quiet or lack of communication. No one wanted to break the silence after the devastating news. The next one here says, the awkward silence was finally broken when someone made a joke. An awkward silence is when people start to feel uncomfortable because the conversation has stopped for a long period of time. To break a spell or to break a curse means to remove the effects of a spell or a curse that has been cast on someone or something. The witch was able to break the spell that had turned the prince into a frog, and he hired a priest to break the curse that had plagued his family for generations. In this sentence, plague is a verb and means to cause continual trouble. So in this case, the curse is causing continual trouble for his family. Here we have to break a or one's winning streak or break a or one's losing streak, and this means to end a series of consecutive victories, wins, or losses. My first sentence says, the team finally broke their losing streak with a win against their rivals. Rivals means competitors. Besides sports, you could have business rivals or political rivals. If another team is your rival, you have what's called a rivalry. And my next sentence says, the tennis player's winning streak was broken by a surprising defeat in the quarterfinals. Here we have the collocation to break in two or to break in half, and this means to split or separate into two parts. If you break it in half, that means it's two equal parts. The tree branch broke in two after being hit by a strong gust of wind. A gust of wind is a sudden rush of strong wind. My next sentence says, my daughter broke the cookie in half and shared it with her brother. Here we have the collocation to break one's heart, and this means to cause deep emotional pain or sadness. It broke her heart to hear that her best friend had passed away, and she was devastated when her boyfriend broke her heart by cheating on her. To be devastated means to be overwhelmed with sadness. Here we have the collocation to break wind, and this simply means to fart. During a quiet part of the movie, someone in the audience broke wind, and it is considered impolite to break wind in public. Here we have to break a window, and this means to shatter or damage a window by hitting or throwing something at it. The kids accidentally broke a window while playing baseball in the backyard, and the thief broke a window to gain entry into the house. Thank you for joining me here today. I hope at least one of these collocations were new to you. Try to use one the next time you are speaking with someone in English, or down below in the comments. See you in the future!